Question 1. Surplus lines insurance claims process. Which of the following best describes the importance of effective communication and documentation in the surplus lines claims handling process in South Carolina? A. Effective communication ensures that all parties are on the same page, but documentation is not crucial as long as verbal agreements are made. B. Documentation is more important than communication because written records can be used in legal proceedings, whereas communication is secondary. C. Effective communication and documentation are both critical as they help ensure transparency, compliance with regulatory requirements, and the ability to defend the claims process if disputed. D. Neither communication nor documentation is particularly important as long as the claim is settled quickly. Answer: C. Effective communication and documentation are both critical as they help ensure transparency, compliance with regulatory requirements, and the ability to defend the claims process if disputed. Explanation: Effective communication and documentation are essential components in the surplus lines claims handling process, particularly in South Carolina. Due to the stringent regulatory requirements, communication ensures that all parties involved, including the insured, insurers, and any third parties, are fully informed about the status and details of the claim. Documentation serves as a written record that can be used to demonstrate compliance with regulatory standards, such as those outlined by the South Carolina Department of Insurance. Accurate documentation can also protect against potential disputes and legal challenges by providing a clear, traceable history of the claims process. Question 2. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation scenario-based. Mr. Thompson, an adjuster for a surplus lines insurer, is investigating a fire damage claim on a commercial property in South Carolina. During the investigation, he needs to determine the cause of the fire, the extent of the damage, and whether the policy covers the loss. He interviews the insured, reviews the fire department's report, and consults with a fire investigation expert. What should Mr. Thompson prioritize to ensure a thorough and compliant investigation? A. Focus primarily on the fire department's report and disregard the expert's opinion if it contradicts the report. B. Ensure all findings are meticulously documented, consult with all relevant parties, and confirm that the policy terms and exclusions are clearly understood and applied. C. Prioritize the insured's account of events as the most critical evidence and minimize the need for expert opinions. D. Expedite the investigation by making a quick decision based on initial findings to ensure the claim is settled swiftly. Answer: B. Ensure all findings are meticulously documented, consult with all relevant parties, and confirm that the policy terms and exclusions are clearly understood and applied. Explanation: In the claims investigation process, Mr. Thompson must ensure a comprehensive approach that includes thorough documentation of all findings, consultations with all relevant parties, and a clear understanding and application of the policy terms and exclusions. This approach aligns with best practices and regulatory requirements in South Carolina, ensuring that the investigation is transparent, unbiased, and compliant with state regulations. By considering all evidence, including expert opinions, Mr. Thompson can make an informed decision that upholds the integrity of the claims process. Question 3. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. In the context of negotiating and reaching a settlement agreement in South Carolina, which of the following best practices should be followed to ensure compliance and fairness? A. Focus on minimizing payout amounts regardless of the insured's valid claims to protect the insurer's financial interests. B. Ensure that all settlement negotiations are documented in writing, both parties agree to the terms, and that the settlement is fair and within the policy's coverage limits. C. Rely solely on verbal agreements to expedite the process, trusting that both parties will honor their commitments. D. Delay settlement negotiations until the insured agrees to lower their claim amount. Answer: B. Ensure that all settlement negotiations are documented in writing, both parties agree to the terms, and that the settlement is fair and within the policy's coverage limits. Explanation: In South Carolina, as in other jurisdictions, it is critical to document all settlement negotiations in writing to ensure clarity and accountability. Both parties must agree to the terms of the settlement, and it is essential to ensure that the settlement is fair and within the policy's coverage limits. This practice helps prevent future disputes and ensures compliance with regulatory requirements. Focusing on minimizing payouts or relying solely on verbal agreements can lead to legal challenges and regulatory violations, undermining the integrity of the claims process. Question 4. Regulatory compliance in surplus lines claims handling. Which of the following statements about compliance with fair claims practices in South Carolina is correct? A. Insurers are required to provide a written explanation for any claim denial, including references to the specific policy provisions. B. Insurers can deny claims without providing a reason as long as they notify the insured within 30 days. C. Insurers are only required to comply with fair claims practices for admitted insurance policies, not surplus lines policies. D. Insurers must settle all claims within 15 days, regardless of the complexity or need for further investigation. Answer A. Insurers are required to provide a written explanation for any claim denial, including references to the specific policy provisions. Explanation. In South Carolina, insurers must comply with fair claims practices, which require them to provide a written explanation when denying a claim. This explanation must include references to the specific policy provisions that justify the denial. This requirement ensures transparency and fairness in the claims process, allowing insured parties to understand the rationale behind a claim denial and to take appropriate action if they disagree with the decision. This regulation applies to both admitted and surplus lines insurers, ensuring consistent standards across the insurance industry. Question 5. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. When analyzing a surplus lines insurance policy in South Carolina, which of the following is the best approach to understanding coverage limitations? A. Focus solely on the policy's declarations page, as it contains all necessary information about coverage limits. B. Review the entire policy, including endorsements and exclusions, to fully understand coverage limitations and potential gaps. C. Rely on verbal explanations from the insurer or broker to understand coverage limitations. D. Assume that surplus lines policies have the same coverage limitations as admitted policies and proceed accordingly. Answer. B. Review the entire policy, including endorsements and exclusions, to fully understand coverage limitations and potential gaps. Explanation. Understanding coverage limitations in a surplus lines insurance policy requires a thorough review of the entire policy, including all endorsements and exclusions. The declarations page provides an overview of coverage limits, but it does not include detailed information about specific exclusions or additional provisions that can significantly impact coverage. Reviewing the full policy allows insured parties and adjusters to identify potential gaps in coverage and understand the full scope of the policy terms. This comprehensive approach ensures that claims are handled accurately and fairly in compliance with South Carolina regulations. Question 6. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation scenario-based. MS. Rodriguez, a claims adjuster, is handling a disputed claim involving water damage to a commercial property in South Carolina. The insurer believes the damage was caused by a flood, which is excluded under the policy, while the insured claims it was caused by a burst pipe, which is covered. The insured has threatened to sue. How should MS. Rodriguez proceed to effectively manage the potential litigation? A. Ignore the insured's threat of litigation and deny the claim based on the insurer's initial assessment. B. Engage legal counsel early to assess the merits of the case, gather comprehensive documentation, and attempt to resolve the dispute through alternative dispute resolution methods if possible. C. Offer a quick settlement to avoid litigation costs, regardless of the validity of the claim. D. Rely solely on the insurer's initial assessment without further investigation, as the insurer's opinion is final. Answer. B. Engage legal counsel early to assess the merits of the case, gather comprehensive documentation, and attempt to resolve the dispute through alternative dispute resolution methods if possible. Explanation. MS. Rodriguez should engage legal counsel early to evaluate the merits of the case and gather all necessary documentation to support the insurer's position. By involving legal counsel, she can ensure that the insurer's assessment is legally sound and that all relevant evidence is properly documented. Additionally, exploring alternative dispute resolution methods, such as mediation or arbitration, can provide a cost-effective and timely resolution to the dispute, potentially avoiding the need for protracted litigation. This approach ensures compliance with South Carolina's regulatory framework and upholds professional standards in claims handling. Question 7. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, which of the following methods is most effective? A. Estimating the claim value based solely on initial visual inspection without further evidence. B. Using detailed loss adjustment techniques, including third-party appraisals and reviewing all relevant documentation and evidence. C. Relying on the insured's assessment of the damage without conducting an independent evaluation. D. Setting a fixed reserve amount at the beginning of the claims process and not adjusting it as new information becomes available. Answer: B. Using detailed loss adjustment techniques, including third-party appraisals and reviewing all relevant documentation and evidence. Explanation: evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim requires a detailed and methodical approach. In South Carolina, effective claims evaluation involves using loss adjustment techniques, such as obtaining third-party appraisals, reviewing all relevant documentation, and gathering comprehensive evidence. This approach ensures that the claim is accurately assessed, reflecting the true extent of the loss and aligning with the policy provisions. By thoroughly evaluating the claim, insurers can make informed decisions, comply with regulatory standards, and maintain fairness in the claims process. Question 8. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. Which of the following is a key consideration in ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements when negotiating and documenting settlement agreements in South Carolina? A. Ensuring that settlement negotiations are conducted informally to expedite the process. B. Documenting all settlement agreements in writing, including clear terms and conditions, and obtaining signatures from all parties involved. C. Only documenting settlements that exceed a certain monetary threshold. D. Allowing either party to modify the terms of the settlement agreement verbally after it has been signed. Answer: B. Documenting all settlement agreements in writing, including clear terms and conditions, and obtaining signatures from all parties involved. Explanation: compliance with regulatory requirements in South Carolina mandates that all settlement agreements be thoroughly documented in writing. This documentation should include clear terms and conditions, and it must be signed by all parties involved. This ensures that the settlement is legally binding, transparent, and fair. Informal negotiations or verbal modifications after the agreement is signed can lead to disputes and regulatory non-compliance. Proper documentation protects the interest of both the insurer and the insured, ensuring that the settlement process adheres to legal and professional standards. Question 9. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. MS Jackson, a surplus lines claims adjuster, is handling a large property damage claim in South Carolina. During her investigation, she discovers that the insured has inadvertently provided some incorrect information about the extent of the damage. The insured insists it was an honest mistake. How should MS Jackson proceed to handle this situation ethically and professionally? A. Ignore the incorrect information and process the claim based on the insured's initial statement. B. Confront the insured aggressively and threaten to deny the claim if any discrepancies are found. C. Carefully document the discrepancy, seek clarification from the insured, and verify the correct information through independent sources. D. Automatically deny the claim based on the incorrect information without further investigation. Answer: C. Carefully document the discrepancy, seek clarification from the insured, and verify the correct information through independent sources. Explanation: MS Jackson should handle the situation ethically and professionally by carefully documenting the discrepancy and seeking clarification from the insured. It is important to verify the correct information through independent sources to ensure the accuracy of the claim. This approach aligns with ethical standards and professional conduct requirements in South Carolina. By thoroughly investigating and addressing the incorrect information, MS Jackson can make an informed decision and maintain the integrity of the claims process. Ignoring the discrepancy or confronting the insured aggressively would be unprofessional and could lead to regulatory issues and disputes. Question 10. Surplus lines insurance claims process. In South Carolina, what is a key responsibility of an adjuster when handling a surplus lines insurance claim? A. To solely rely on the policyholder's initial claim submission without further verification. B. To expedite the settlement by any means necessary, even if it means bypassing some regulatory requirements. C. To thoroughly investigate the claim, ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements and maintaining detailed documentation of all findings and communications. D. To determine claim value based on average market rates without considering specific policy terms. Answer: C. To thoroughly investigate the claim, ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements and maintaining detailed documentation of all findings and communications. Explanation: An adjuster's key responsibility in handling surplus lines insurance claims in South Carolina includes conducting a thorough investigation to ensure that the claim is valid and covered under the policy. This involves verifying the information provided by the policyholder, maintaining detailed documentation of all findings and communications, and ensuring compliance with all relevant regulatory requirements. This comprehensive approach helps to protect the insurer from fraudulent claims and ensures that legitimate claims are processed fairly and efficiently. Question 11. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When reserving and estimating claim costs for a surplus lines insurance policy in South Carolina, what is the most important factor to consider? A. Setting the reserve amount based solely on the initial claim report. B. Regularly updating reserve estimates based on new information and developments in the claim investigation. C. Using a fixed percentage of the policy limit as the reserve amount. D. Ensuring the reserve amount is always at the maximum policy limit to avoid under-reserving. Answer. B. Regularly updating reserve estimates based on new information and developments in the claim investigation. Explanation. In South Carolina, the process of reserving and estimating claim costs should be dynamic and responsive to new information and developments in the claim investigation, just as should regularly update reserve estimates as more details become available, ensuring that the reserve amount accurately reflects the potential cost of the claim. This approach helps insurers manage their financial exposure and ensures that they have adequate funds set aside to cover claims as they develop. Setting a fixed reserve amount without updates can lead to inaccurate financial planning and regulatory non-compliance. Question 12. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. Mr. Anderson, a claims adjuster, is reviewing a complex liability claim in South Carolina where the insured is a small business owner. During the investigation, Mr. Anderson discovers that the insured had not disclosed a previous lawsuit during the application process. The omission appears to be unintentional. How should Mr. Anderson proceed while adhering to ethical standards? A. Deny the claim outright based on the non-disclosure of the previous lawsuit. B. Ignore the omission and proceed with the claim as if the information was disclosed. C. Document the non-disclosure, inform the insured of the issue, and assess how it impacts the coverage in the current claim. D. Threaten the insured with legal action unless they withdraw their claim. Answer. C. Document the non-disclosure, inform the insured of the issue, and assess how it impacts the coverage in the current claim. Explanation. Mr. Anderson should proceed ethically by documenting the non-disclosure, informing the insured of the issue, and assessing how the omission impacts the coverage in the current claim. This approach aligns with professional standards and ethical considerations, ensuring transparency and fairness in the claims handling process. By addressing the issue directly and objectively, Mr. Anderson can determine whether the non-disclosure affects the validity of the policy and the claim and take appropriate action in compliance with South Carolina's regulatory requirements. Ignoring the omission or threatening the insured would be unprofessional and potentially unethical. Question 13. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. In South Carolina, when preparing for litigation involving a surplus lines insurance claim, which of the following actions is most critical for a claims adjuster? A. Relying on the initial claim documentation without further evidence gathering. B. Ensuring all relevant evidence and documentation are organized and available, and working closely with legal counsel to build a strong case. C. Encouraging the insured to settle out of court regardless of the claim's merits. D. Withholding information that may weaken the insurer's position in court. Answer. B. Ensuring all relevant evidence and documentation are organized and available, and working closely with legal counsel to build a strong case. Explanation. In preparing for litigation involving a surplus lines insurance claim, it is critical for the claims adjuster to ensure that all relevant evidence and documentation are thoroughly organized and readily available. Additionally, working closely with legal counsel is essential to build a robust case that can withstand legal scrutiny. This approach ensures that the insurer is well prepared to defend its position in court, adheres to legal standards, and complies with South Carolina's regulatory requirements. Relying solely on initial documentation, encouraging settlement without regard for claim merits, or withholding information can lead to legal and ethical issues. Question 14. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. Which of the following best describes the role of outside experts in the investigation of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina? A. Outside experts should only be used if the insured requests their involvement. B. Outside experts can provide specialized knowledge and analysis that enhances the accuracy and credibility of the claims investigation. C. The use of outside experts often complicates the claims process and should be avoided. D. Outside experts should be involved only after the claim has been initially denied to provide additional evidence. Answer: B. Outside experts can provide specialized knowledge and analysis that enhances the accuracy and credibility of the claims investigation. Explanation: in the investigation of surplus lines insurance claims, outside experts play a crucial role by providing specialized knowledge and analysis that enhance the accuracy and credibility of the investigation. This can include expertise in areas such as engineering, forensics, or specific industry practices relevant to the claim. Involving outside experts early in the process ensures a thorough and informed investigation, which is particularly important in complex or technical claims. This approach aligns with best practices and regulatory standards in South Carolina, helping to ensure fair and accurate claims handling. Question 15. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. MS. Martinez, a surplus lines claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a claim involving a significant loss at a manufacturing facility. During her investigation, she is offered a substantial gift by the insured's representative in appreciation for her efforts. How should MS. Martinez respond to this offer in accordance with ethical guidelines? A. Accept the gift as a token of appreciation and continue handling the claim impartially. B. Politely decline the gift and report the offer to her supervisor, ensuring transparency and adherence to ethical standards. C. Accept the gift but ensure that it does not influence her claims handling decisions. D. Decline the gift and handle the claim less favorably to avoid any appearance of impropriety. Answer: B. Politely decline the gift and report the offer to her supervisor, ensuring transparency and adherence to ethical standards. Explanation: MS. Martinez should politely decline the gift and report the offer to her supervisor to ensure transparency and adherence to ethical guidelines. Accepting gifts from parties involved in a claim can create a conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety, potentially compromising the integrity of the claims handling process. By declining the gift and reporting the incident, MS. Martinez upholds professional standards and maintains the trust and fairness essential in surplus lines insurance claims handling. This approach aligns with ethical requirements and best practices in South Carolina, ensuring that the claims process remains impartial and unbiased. Question 16. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When determining coverage and liability in a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, what is the most critical factor to consider? A. The policyholder's personal financial situation. B. The specific terms, conditions, and exclusions outlined in the insurance policy. C. The overall market conditions at the time of the claim. D. The length of time the policyholder has held the insurance policy. Answer: B. The specific terms, conditions, and exclusions outlined in the insurance policy. Explanation: when determining coverage and liability for a surplus lines insurance claim, the most critical factor is the specific terms, conditions, and exclusions outlined in the insurance policy. These details define what is covered, what is excluded, and under what circumstances the coverage applies. Adhering to these terms ensures that claims are handled in accordance with the policy agreement and South Carolina's regulatory requirements. Other factors, such as the policyholder's financial situation or the length of time they have held the policy, are not relevant to determining coverage and liability. Question 17. Regulatory compliance in surplus lines claims handling. Which of the following best describes the licensing and reporting requirements for surplus lines claims in South Carolina? A. Surplus lines insurers are exempt from licensing and reporting requirements in South Carolina. B. Surplus lines insurers must be licensed in South Carolina and adhere to strict reporting requirements to the South Carolina Department of Insurance. C. Surplus lines insurers only need to report claims that exceed a certain monetary threshold. D. Surplus lines insurers must be licensed in at least one state, but do not need to report claims to South Carolina regulators. Answer: B. Surplus lines insurers must be licensed in South Carolina and adhere to strict reporting requirements to the South Carolina Department of Insurance. Explanation: surplus lines insurers operating in South Carolina must be properly licensed and adhere to strict reporting requirements set by the South Carolina Department of Insurance. This ensures regulatory oversight and compliance with state laws designed to protect consumers and maintain the integrity of the insurance market. Proper licensing and reporting help monitor the solvency and practices of surplus lines insurers, ensuring they meet the standards necessary to operate within the state. Question 18. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis, scenario-based. Mr. Whitman, a policyholder in South Carolina, files a claim under his surplus lines insurance policy for water damage caused by a leaky roof. The policy includes a specific exclusion for damage resulting from wear and tear or lack of maintenance. Upon investigation, the adjuster finds that the roof had not been maintained properly and was in poor condition before the damage occurred. How should the adjuster proceed? A. Approve the claim in full since water damage is generally covered under the policy. B. Deny the claim based on the policy exclusion for wear and tear and lack of maintenance, providing a detailed explanation to Mr. Whitman. C. Partially approve the claim by covering the immediate water damage but not the underlying roof repairs. D. Request additional information from Mr. Whitman about the maintenance history of the roof before making a decision. Answer: B. Deny the claim based on the policy exclusion for wear and tear and lack of maintenance, providing a detailed explanation to Mr. Whitman. Explanation: the adjuster should deny the claim based on the specific exclusion in the policy for damage resulting from a wear and tear or lack of maintenance. The investigation revealed that the roof was not properly maintained and was in poor condition, which falls under this exclusion. The adjuster should provide a detailed explanation to Mr. Whitman, citing the relevant policy provisions and the findings from the investigation. This approach ensures transparency and adherence to the terms of the policy and regulatory requirements in South Carolina, while also clearly communicating the reasons for the claim denial to the policyholder. Question 19. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. In South Carolina, what is a best practice for gathering and evaluating evidence during a surplus lines insurance claim investigation? A. Rely solely on the insured's account of events without seeking additional evidence. B. Collect comprehensive evidence, including photographs, expert reports, and witness statements, and evaluate it thoroughly to ensure an accurate assessment. C. Limit the evidence collection to what is easily accessible and convenient. D. Only gather evidence if the claim amount exceeds a certain threshold. Answer: B. Collect comprehensive evidence, including photographs, expert reports, and witness statements, and evaluate it thoroughly to ensure an accurate assessment. Explanation: best practices for gathering and evaluating evidence during a surplus lines insurance claim investigation involve collecting comprehensive and detailed evidence, such as photographs, expert reports, and witness statements. This thorough approach ensures that the investigation accurately reflects the circumstances of the claim and supports fair and informed decision-making. Relying solely on the insured's account or limiting evidence collection to what is convenient can result in incomplete or biased assessments, potentially leading to disputes or regulatory non-compliance in South Carolina. Question 20. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. Which of the following is a critical consideration when negotiating a settlement agreement for a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina? A. Offering a settlement amount without considering the policy limits or exclusions. B. Ensuring that the settlement agreement is documented in detail, including all terms and conditions, and obtaining signed approval from all parties involved. C. Prioritizing a quick settlement over accurate assessment and negotiation. D. Allowing the insured to dictate the settlement amount without negotiation. Answer: B. Ensuring that the settlement agreement is documented in detail, including all terms and conditions, and obtaining signed approval from all parties involved. Explanation: when negotiating a settlement agreement for a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, it is critical to ensure that the agreement is documented in detail, including all terms and conditions, and that it is signed by all parties involved. This detailed documentation helps prevent misunderstandings and disputes later on and ensures that the settlement is legally binding and compliant with regulatory standards. Quick settlements or allowing the insured to dictate the amount without proper negotiation can lead to inaccuracies and potential regulatory issues. Question 21. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. MS Davis, a claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a fire damage claim for a commercial property. During her investigation, she finds that the fire was caused by negligence on the part of the insured's employee. The insured is a longtime client of the insurance company and is pressuring MS Davis to overlook this detail to expedite the claim. How should MS Davis handle this situation? A. Expedite the claim as requested by the insured to maintain a good business relationship. B. Document the findings thoroughly and inform the insured that negligence will be considered in the claims decision, ensuring compliance with policy terms and ethical standards. C. Ignore the negligence finding to avoid conflict and proceed with the claim. D. Deny the claim outright due to the negligence without further discussion with the insured. Answer: B. Document the findings thoroughly and inform the insured that negligence will be considered in the claims decision, ensuring compliance with policy terms and ethical standards. Explanation: MS Davis should document her findings thoroughly and inform the insured that the negligence will be considered in the claims decision, ensuring she complies with the policy terms and adheres to ethical standards. Overlooking the negligence to expedite the claim could compromise the integrity of the claims process and lead to regulatory and ethical issues. By addressing the situation transparently and professionally, MS Davis maintains the insurer's standards and regulatory compliance in South Carolina, while also ensuring that the claims process is fair and accurate. Question 22. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. In South Carolina, which of the following is essential when interpreting policy language and exclusions in a surplus lines insurance policy? A. Relying solely on the insurer's marketing materials for policy interpretation. B. Consulting the specific wording of the policy, including definitions, conditions, and exclusions, to determine coverage. C. Using personal judgment to fill in any ambiguities in the policy. D. Interpreting policy language in favor of the insurer regardless of the circumstances. Answer: B. Consulting the specific wording of the policy, including definitions, conditions, and exclusions, to determine coverage. Explanation: Interpreting policy language and exclusions in a surplus lines insurance policy requires a careful examination of the specific wording of the policy, including definitions, conditions, and exclusions. This ensures that coverage is determined based on the actual terms agreed upon by the insurer and the insured, which aligns with regulatory standards and legal requirements in South Carolina. Relying on marketing materials, personal judgment, or always favoring the insurer can lead to misinterpretation and disputes. Question 23. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. What is the best practice for interviewing witnesses during a surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina? A. Conducting interviews casually without taking detailed notes to maintain a relaxed atmosphere. B. Preparing a structured set of questions, conducting the interview in a professional manner, and documenting the responses accurately. C. Only interviewing witnesses if the insured specifically requests it. D. Relying on the insured to provide written statements from witnesses instead of conducting interviews. Answer: B. Preparing a structured set of questions, conducting the interview in a professional manner, and documenting the responses accurately. Explanation: The best practice for interviewing witnesses during a surplus lines insurance claims investigation involves preparing a structured set of questions, conducting the interview in a professional manner, and accurately documenting the responses. This approach ensures that the information gathered is reliable, comprehensive, and useful for the claims evaluation process. Proper documentation and professional conduct during interviews help maintain the integrity and accuracy of the investigation in line with South Carolina's regulatory standards. Question 24. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. Mr. Johnson, a claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a liability claim where the insured is accused of negligence resulting in significant property damage. During the investigation, Mr. Johnson receives an anonymous tip that the insured may have intentionally provided false information to reduce their liability. How should Mr. Johnson proceed in handling this ethical dilemma? A. Ignore the anonymous tip and proceed with the investigation based solely on the insured's statements. B. Investigate the tip further while maintaining confidentiality and documenting all findings to ensure an unbiased and thorough investigation. C. Confront the insured immediately with the information from the anonymous tip and threaten to deny the claim if they don't confess. D. Deny the claim outright based on the anonymous tip without further investigation. Answer: B. Investigate the tip further while maintaining confidentiality and documenting all findings to ensure an unbiased and thorough investigation. Explanation: Mr. Johnson should investigate the anonymous tip further while maintaining confidentiality and documenting all findings. This approach ensures that the investigation remains unbiased and thorough, adhering to ethical standards and regulatory requirements in South Carolina. Ignoring the tip could result in missing critical information, while immediately confronting the insured or denying the claim based on the tip alone would be premature and unprofessional. By investigating the tip thoroughly, Mr. Johnson can ensure that the claims process is fair and accurate. Question 25. Surplus lines insurance claims process. In South Carolina, what is a critical aspect of effective communication during the surplus lines insurance claims handling process? A. Keeping communication to a minimum to avoid overwhelming the insured. B. Providing clear, timely, and detailed updates to all parties involved in the claim. C. Only communicating with the insured at the beginning and end of the claims process. D. Using legal jargon and technical terms to ensure all communication is precise. Answer: B. Providing clear, timely, and detailed updates to all parties involved in the claim. Explanation: Effective communication during the surplus lines insurance claims handling process involves providing clear, timely, and detailed updates to all parties involved. This transparency helps ensure that everyone understands the status and details of the claim, fostering trust and reducing the potential for misunderstandings or disputes. Minimizing communication or using overly technical language can lead to confusion and dissatisfaction, which is why maintaining open and comprehensible communication is essential, in line with South Carolina's regulatory standards. Question 26. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. In the context of settling surplus lines insurance claims in South Carolina, which of the following best describes an appropriate approach to negotiating a settlement? A. Forcing the insured to accept the initial settlement offer without discussion. B. Engaging in open negotiations with the insured, considering their perspective and reaching a mutually agreeable resolution. C. Offering the highest possible settlement amount to avoid litigation. D. Settling only if the insured agrees to waive all future claims related to the incident. Answer: B. Engaging in open negotiations with the insured, considering their perspective and reaching a mutually agreeable resolution. Explanation: An appropriate approach to negotiating a settlement for surplus lines insurance claims involves engaging in open negotiations with the insured, considering their perspective and reaching a mutually agreeable resolution. This approach ensures fairness and helps maintain good relationships between the insurer and the insured. Forcing the insured to accept an offer offering excessively high settlements or requiring waivers for future claims without proper negotiation can lead to disputes and regulatory issues, particularly under South Carolina's insurance regulations. Question 27. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. MS Roberts, a claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a complex commercial property damage claim. During her investigation, she finds that a subcontractor working for the insured may have caused the damage through gross negligence. The insured is unaware of this possibility and expects full coverage. How should MS Roberts handle this ethical situation? A. Ignore the subcontractor's negligence and proceed with the claim as if it were a covered loss. B. Inform the insured of the findings, including the subcontractor's potential liability, and assess the claim based on policy terms. C. Deny the claim outright without explaining the findings to the insured. D. Handle the claim as usual and allow the legal department to sort out any issues related to the subcontractor's negligence later. Answer: B. Inform the insured of the findings, including the subcontractor's potential liability, and assess the claim based on policy terms. Explanation: MS Roberts should inform the insured of her findings, including the subcontractor's potential liability, and assess the claim based on the terms of the policy. This approach ensures transparency and adheres to ethical standards, allowing the insured to understand the situation fully and consider any legal actions they might want to take against the subcontractor. Ignoring the negligence or denying the claim without explanation would be unethical and unprofessional, while handling the claim without addressing the issue could lead to complications and disputes, contrary to South Carolina's regulatory and ethical guidelines for claims handling. Question 28. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. During a claims investigation in South Carolina, what is a critical step in gathering and evaluating evidence for a surplus lines insurance claim? A. Relying solely on the initial claim report provided by the insured. B. Conducting a thorough investigation that includes obtaining third-party reports, expert evaluations, and all relevant documentation. C. Limiting the investigation to information that supports the insured's version of events. D. Using assumptions to fill in any gaps in the evidence. Answer: B. Conducting a thorough investigation that includes obtaining third-party reports, expert evaluations, and all relevant documentation. Explanation: the critical step in gathering and evaluating evidence for a surplus lines insurance claim is to conduct a thorough investigation that includes obtaining third-party reports, expert evaluations, and all relevant documentation. This comprehensive approach ensures that the investigation is unbiased, accurate, and detailed, providing a solid foundation for evaluating the claim. Relying solely on the insured's report or limiting the investigation to supportive information can result in incomplete or skewed assessments, which is not in line with South Carolina's standards for claims handling. Question 29. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. In South Carolina, which of the following is an important consideration when releasing and documenting settlement agreements for surplus lines insurance claims? A. Ensuring the settlement agreement is verbal and agreed upon over a phone call. B. Providing a detailed written settlement agreement that is signed by all parties and includes all terms, conditions, and releases. C. Using a generic settlement form that does not include specific details of the claim. D. Releasing the settlement agreement to the insured without any signatures to expedite the process. Answer: B. Providing a detailed written settlement agreement that is signed by all parties and includes all terms, conditions, and releases. Explanation: an important consideration when releasing and documenting settlement agreements for surplus lines insurance claims is to provide a detailed written settlement agreement that is signed by all parties and includes all terms, conditions, and releases. This ensures clarity, legal enforceability, and mutual understanding of the settlement terms. Verbal agreements, generic forms, or unsigned documents can lead to disputes and misunderstandings which would not comply with regulatory and best practice standards in South Carolina. Question 30. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. Mr. Thompson, a claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a claim where the insured's property was damaged in a flood. The insured insists that the policy covers all types of flood damage, but Mr. Thompson finds that the policy specifically excludes flood damage caused by natural disasters. The insured is very upset and threatens to take legal action if the claim is denied. How should Mr. Thompson proceed? A. Approve the claim to avoid legal action despite the policy exclusions. B. Deny the claim based on the policy exclusions and provide a clear, detailed explanation to the insured, including reference to the specific policy language. C. Ignore the policy exclusions and submit the claim for approval to avoid conflict. D. Suggest that the insured seeks legal counsel without providing any explanation for the denial. Answer: B. Deny the claim based on the policy exclusions and provide a clear, detailed explanation to the insured, including reference to the specific policy language. Explanation: Mr. Thompson should deny the claim based on the policy exclusions and provide a clear, detailed explanation to the insured, referencing the specific policy language that excludes flood damage caused by natural disasters. This approach ensures transparency, adherence to the terms of the policy, and compliance with ethical and regulatory standards in South Carolina. Approving the claim despite exclusions, ignoring policy terms, or suggesting legal counsel without explanation can lead to further disputes and undermine the integrity of the claims process. Question 31. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When estimating claim costs in South Carolina for a surplus lines insurance policy, what is a critical factor to consider? A. The insured's willingness to negotiate. B. Historical claims data from similar cases. C. Ignoring expert opinions. D. The adjuster's personal estimation. Answer: B. Historical claims data from similar cases. Explanation: When estimating claim costs in surplus lines insurance claims handling, it is crucial to consider historical claims data from similar cases. This data provides valuable insights into the potential costs involved based on past experiences and outcomes. Relying on the insured's negotiation stance, ignoring expert opinions, or basing estimates solely on personal judgment can lead to inaccurate assessments. Utilizing historical data helps ensure that claim costs are estimated realistically and in compliance with regulatory standards in South Carolina. Question 32. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. In South Carolina, what role does legal counsel typically play in surplus lines insurance claims litigation? A. Providing general advice without actively participating in the litigation process. B. Managing all aspects of the litigation process, including representing the insurer in court. C. Only attending court hearings if specifically requested by the insured. D. Reviewing settlement offers but not participating in negotiations. Answer. B. Managing all aspects of the litigation process, including representing the insurer in court. Explanation. In surplus lines insurance claims litigation in South Carolina, legal counsel typically plays a crucial role in managing all aspects of the litigation process. This includes representing the insurer in court, providing legal advice and strategy, preparing legal documents, and advocating for the insurer's interests. Legal counsel ensures that the insurer complies with legal procedures and regulatory requirements and defends the insurer's position effectively. This proactive approach helps mitigate legal risks and ensures that litigation outcomes align with the insurer's objectives and South Carolina's regulatory framework. Question 33. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. Scenario-based MS. A claims adjuster in South Carolina is handling a liability claim where the insured is accused of intentional misconduct that led to significant property damage. The insured denies the allegations and insists on full coverage under the policy. How should MS. Lee approach this ethical dilemma? A. Deny the claim immediately based on the accusations without further investigation. B. Investigate the allegations thoroughly, ensuring fairness and providing a detailed explanation to the insured regarding the findings. C. Ignore the allegations and proceed with the claim to avoid conflict. D. Offer a partial settlement to the insured to expedite the claims process. Answer. B. Investigate the allegations thoroughly, ensuring fairness and providing a detailed explanation to the insured regarding the findings. Explanation. MS. Lee should approach the ethical dilemma by investigating the allegations thoroughly to ensure fairness and accuracy in the claims handling process. This includes gathering evidence, conducting interviews, and assessing all relevant information related to the allegations of intentional misconduct. Providing a detailed explanation to the insured regarding the findings of the investigation helps maintain transparency and ensures that the insured understands the basis for the claim's decision. Approaching the claim with objectivity and fairness aligns with ethical standards and regulatory requirements in South Carolina, preventing potential disputes and legal issues. Question 34. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. In South Carolina, what is an important consideration when negotiating a settlement agreement for surplus lines insurance claims? A. Limiting communication with the insured to written correspondence only. B. Offering a settlement amount without considering the insured's coverage needs. C. Ensuring that all settlement terms are clearly documented and agreed upon by both parties. D. Setting a deadline for the insured to accept the settlement offer without negotiation. Answer. C. Ensuring that all settlement terms are clearly documented and agreed upon by both parties. Explanation. When negotiating a settlement agreement for surplus lines insurance claims in South Carolina, it is crucial to ensure that all settlement terms are clearly documented and agreed upon by both parties. This documentation helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that the settlement is legally binding and compliant with regulatory requirements. Limiting communication to written correspondence only, offering settlements without considering coverage needs, or imposing deadlines without negotiation can lead to disputes and regulatory issues. Question 35. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What is a key ethical consideration for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina? A. Focusing solely on minimizing claim payouts. B. Providing fair and timely claim decisions based on policy terms and regulatory standards. C. Offering settlements without consulting with legal counsel. D. Ignoring policyholder concerns during the claims process. Answer: B. Providing fair and timely claim decisions based on policy terms and regulatory standards. Explanation: a key ethical consideration for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina is to provide fair and timely claim decisions based on policy terms and regulatory standards. Adjusters are expected to act with integrity, transparency, and professionalism throughout the claims handling process, ensuring that policyholders receive accurate assessments and appropriate compensation as outlined in their insurance policies. Focusing solely on minimizing claim payouts, offering settlements without legal counsel consultation, or disregarding policyholder concerns would contradict ethical standards and regulatory requirements. Question 36. Surplus lines insurance claims process. What is an essential step in the surplus lines insurance claims process in South Carolina? A. Delaying the investigation until all other claims are processed. B. Communicating claim decisions only to the insured, excluding other stakeholders. C. Following up with the insured regularly to update them on the claim status. D. Handling claims without documenting the details to expedite the process. Answer: C. Following up with the insured regularly to update them on the claim status. Explanation: an essential step in the surplus lines insurance claims process in South Carolina is to follow up with the insured regularly to update them on the claim status. Effective communication helps maintain trust and transparency between the insurer and the insured, ensuring that the insured is informed throughout the claims handling process. Delaying the investigation, excluding stakeholders from communication, or handling claims without proper documentation can lead to inefficiencies, misunderstandings, and potential regulatory issues. Regular follow-up with the insured supports a smooth and compliant claims process. Question 37. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. In South Carolina, what role do policy provisions and coverage limitations play in surplus lines insurance claims? A. They are irrelevant once the claim is submitted. B. They define the scope of coverage and exclusions applicable to the claim. C. They are subjective and can be interpreted differently by each claims adjuster. D. They are only applicable if the insured disputes the claim decision. Answer: B. They define the scope of coverage and exclusions applicable to the claim. Explanation: policy provisions and coverage limitations in surplus lines insurance policies play a crucial role in defining the scope of coverage and exclusions applicable to the claim. Claims adjusters in South Carolina must carefully interpret these provisions to determine the extent of coverage for each claim scenario. Ignoring or misinterpreting policy provisions can lead to incorrect claim decisions and potential disputes. Understanding and applying these provisions correctly ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and fair treatment of policyholders. Question 38. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, what method should adjusters use? A. Making arbitrary decisions based on personal judgment. B. Using standardized evaluation tools and techniques appropriate to the claim type. C. Relying on the insured's initial estimate without verification. D. Setting claim reserves based on the insured's demands. Answer: B. Using standardized evaluation tools and techniques appropriate to the claim type. Explanation: when evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, adjusters should use standardized evaluation tools and techniques appropriate to the claim type. This approach ensures consistency, accuracy, and fairness in assessing claims based on objective criteria and established industry standards. Making arbitrary decisions, relying solely on the insured's estimates, or setting reserves without proper evaluation can lead to inaccurate claim assessments and regulatory non-compliance. Using standardized methods supports effective claims management and compliance with South Carolina's insurance regulations. Question 39. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What is a critical aspect of providing documentation and evidence during surplus lines insurance claims litigation in South Carolina? A. Providing minimal documentation to avoid overwhelming the court. B. Ensuring that all relevant documentation and evidence are accurate, complete, and admissible in court. C. Relying on oral testimony without written documentation. D. Hiding unfavorable evidence to strengthen the insurer's position. Answer: B. Ensuring that all relevant documentation and evidence are accurate, complete, and admissible in court. Explanation: a critical aspect of providing documentation and evidence during surplus lines insurance claims litigation in South Carolina is ensuring that all relevant documentation and evidence are accurate, complete, and admissible in court. This includes gathering and preserving documents, records, reports, and other forms of evidence that support the insurer's position or clarify the facts of the case. Providing minimal documentation, relying solely on oral testimony, or withholding unfavorable evidence can undermine the insurer's credibility and legal standing in court. Adhering to proper documentation practices supports a robust defense in compliance with legal and regulatory standards in South Carolina. Question 40. Surplus lines insurance claims handling. What is the significance of compliance with regulatory requirements in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina? A. It is optional and depends on the insurer's discretion. B. It ensures fair treatment of policyholders and adherence to legal standards. C. It applies only to claims involving large losses. D. It is irrelevant unless the insured requests regulatory documentation. Answer: B. It ensures fair treatment of policyholders and adherence to legal standards. Explanation: compliance with regulatory requirements in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina is significant because it ensures fair treatment of policyholders and adherence to legal standards. Regulatory compliance includes following state-specific laws, regulations, and guidelines that govern how insurance claims are processed, evaluated, and settled. It protects policyholders from unfair practices and ensures that insurers operate ethically and transparently. Ignoring regulatory requirements can lead to legal repercussions, fines, and damage to an insurer's reputation. Therefore, adherence to regulatory standards is crucial for maintaining trust and credibility in the insurance industry. Question 41. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. During a surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina, why is it important to gather and evaluate evidence objectively? A. To delay the claims process and assess every detail thoroughly. B. To ensure that the insured is fully informed of the investigation's progress. C. To make fair and informed claim decisions based on factual information. D. To satisfy the insurer's internal documentation requirements. Answer: C. To make fair and informed claim decisions based on factual information. Explanation: during a surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina, it is important to gather and evaluate evidence objectively to make fair and informed claim decisions based on factual information. Objective evaluation ensures that the assessment of the claim is unbiased and grounded in evidence, rather than assumptions or personal opinions. This approach supports transparency and compliance with regulatory standards, helping to mitigate disputes and ensure that policyholders receive fair treatment. Delaying the claims process, informing the insured, or fulfilling internal documentation requirements alone do not address the fundamental need for objective evidence evaluation in claims handling. Question 42. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism scenario-based. Mr. Davis, a claims adjuster in South Carolina, is handling a claim where the insured's property was damaged due to a fire caused by faulty electrical wiring. The insured files a claim seeking coverage for the damages. During the investigation, Mr. Davis discovers that the insured misrepresented the age of the property's electrical system in the insurance application, which would have affected the coverage terms. How should Mr. Davis handle this ethical dilemma? A. Ignore the misrepresentation and approve the claim to avoid conflict. B. Deny the claim based on the misrepresentation and inform the insured of the findings. C. Discuss the misrepresentation with the insured but still approve the claim as a goodwill gesture. D. Approve the claim without mentioning the misrepresentation to avoid upsetting the insured. Answer: B. Deny the claim based on the misrepresentation and inform the insured of the findings. Explanation: Mr. Davis should handle the ethical dilemma by denying the claim based on the misrepresentation and informing the insured of the findings. This approach ensures honesty, fairness, and compliance with regulatory standards in South Carolina. Ignoring the misrepresentation or approving the claim despite it would be unethical and could lead to legal repercussions. Discussing the misrepresentation but still approving the claim without consequences undermines the integrity of the claims process. Providing clear explanations to the insured regarding claim decisions based on accurate information helps maintain trust and transparency, essential for ethical claims handling in the insurance industry. Question 43. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. In South Carolina, what is the role of reserving in surplus lines insurance claims settlement? A. Reserving is optional and depends on the insurer's discretion. B. Reserving ensures that claims are settled quickly without delays. C. Reserving sets aside funds to cover anticipated claim costs based on initial assessments. D. Reserving is only necessary for claims involving litigation. Answer: C. Reserving sets aside funds to cover anticipated claim costs based on initial assessments. Explanation: in South Carolina, reserving in surplus lines insurance claims settlement plays a crucial role in setting aside funds to cover anticipated claim costs based on initial assessments. This ensures that insurers have adequate financial reserves to meet their obligations to policyholders. Reserving helps manage financial risk, ensure stability, and comply with regulatory requirements. It is a standard practice in claims management to estimate potential liabilities accurately and allocate funds accordingly. Ignoring reserving or considering it optional could lead to financial instability and regulatory non-compliance. Question 44. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical consideration should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize in South Carolina when handling claims involving third-party liability? A. Minimizing communication with third parties to avoid complications. B. Providing fair and impartial assessments based on evidence and policy terms. C. Ignoring third-party claims unless directly requested by the insured. D. Avoiding documentation of third-party involvement to maintain confidentiality. Answer: B. Providing fair and impartial assessments based on evidence and policy terms. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize providing fair and impartial assessments based on evidence and policy terms when handling claims involving third-party liability. This ethical consideration ensures that all parties involved are treated fairly and in accordance with legal and regulatory standards. Minimizing communication with third parties, ignoring their claims, or avoiding documentation of their involvement can lead to misunderstandings, disputes, and potential legal issues. Adhering to ethical guidelines promotes transparency, professionalism, and trust in the claims handling process. Question 45. Surplus lines insurance claims process. During the surplus lines insurance claims process in South Carolina, what is the significance of maintaining accurate documentation? A. It is unnecessary unless requested by the insured. B. Accurate documentation helps insurers assess their financial position. C. Documentation is only relevant for claims involving litigation. D. It ensures transparency, compliance, and effective claims management. Answer: D. It ensures transparency, compliance, and effective claims management. Explanation: maintaining accurate documentation during the surplus lines insurance claims process in South Carolina is significant because it ensures transparency, compliance, and effective claims management. Accurate documentation helps insurers track claim details, communicate effectively with stakeholders, and comply with regulatory requirements. It also supports fair and timely claim decisions based on factual information and reduces the risk of disputes or legal challenges. Documentation is essential throughout the claims process, from initial investigation to final settlement, to uphold ethical standards, regulatory compliance, and professionalism in the insurance industry. Question 46. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. In South Carolina, what factors should be considered when determining coverage and liability in surplus lines insurance claims? A. The insured's financial status unrelated to the claim. B. The adjuster's personal opinion without factual basis. C. Policy terms, evidence gathered, and applicable legal standards. D. The insured's reputation in the community. Answer: C. Policy terms, evidence gathered, and applicable legal standards. Explanation: when determining coverage and liability in surplus lines insurance claims in South Carolina, it is essential to consider policy terms, evidence gathered during the investigation, and applicable legal standards. This approach ensures that claim decisions are based on objective criteria, adherence to policy provisions, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Factors such as the insured's financial status or personal opinions of the adjuster are not relevant to coverage and liability determinations unless specified by the policy terms or legal considerations. Question 47. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What role does alternative dispute resolution (ADA) play in surplus lines insurance claims litigation in South Carolina? A. DR is rarely used and not recommended for surplus lines claims. B. DR allows insurers and policyholders to resolve disputes outside of court. C. DR requires the involvement of multiple legal counsels. D. DR can only be initiated by the insured party. Answer: B8DR allows insurers and policyholders to resolve disputes outside of court. Explanation: Alternative dispute resolution (ADA) plays a significant role in surplus lines insurance claims litigation in South Carolina by allowing insurers and policyholders to resolve disputes outside of court. ADR methods such as mediation or arbitration provide parties with a less formal and potentially faster way to settle claims disagreements. This approach can save time, reduce legal costs, and promote mutually acceptable resolutions without the need for lengthy litigation. ADR is encouraged as an effective means of dispute resolution in the insurance industry, promoting fairness and efficiency in resolving claims-related conflicts. Question 48. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical principle guides surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina regarding confidentiality? A. Sharing claim details with unauthorized parties to expedite the process. B. Respecting the confidentiality of claim information unless legally required or authorized. C. Ignoring confidentiality concerns to prioritize claim resolution. D. Including confidential claim details in public reports. Answer: B. Respecting the confidentiality of claim information unless legally required or authorized. Explanation: Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina are guided by the ethical principle of respecting the confidentiality of claim information unless legally required or authorized. Confidentiality ensures that sensitive information about policyholders, claims, and investigations is protected from unauthorized disclosure. Maintaining confidentiality builds trust with insureds and other stakeholders, protects privacy rights, and complies with legal and regulatory standards. Sharing claim details without authorization, ignoring confidentiality concerns, or including confidential information in public reports can violate ethical guidelines and lead to legal consequences. Therefore, respecting confidentiality is crucial for ethical claims handling practices in the insurance industry. Question 49. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. What role do outside experts and specialists play in surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina? A. They are only consulted if the insured requests their involvement. B. They provide objective assessments and expertise in complex claim scenarios. C. Their opinions are disregarded in favor of internal adjuster assessments. D. Their involvement is limited to reviewing final claim decisions. Answer: B. They provide objective assessments and expertise in complex claim scenarios. Explanation: Outside experts and specialists play a crucial role in surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina by providing objective assessments and expertise in complex claim scenarios. Their involvement helps insurers gather specialized knowledge, assess claims accurately, and make informed decisions based on expert opinions and industry standards. Relying solely on internal adjuster assessments or disregarding expert opinions can lead to incomplete evaluations and potential disputes. Consulting outside experts enhances the quality and credibility of claims investigations, ensuring fair and thorough assessments in compliance with regulatory requirements. Question 50. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when negotiating settlements in South Carolina? A. Offering settlements based on competitors' practices. B. Ensuring that settlements align with policy terms and are fair to the insured. C. Setting arbitrary deadlines for the insured to accept settlement offers. D. Excluding insured's input in the settlement negotiation process. Answer: B. Ensuring that settlements align with policy terms and are fair to the insured. Explanation: Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize ensuring that settlements align with policy terms and are fair to the insured. This involves evaluating the coverage provided by the policy, assessing the extent of liability, and negotiating a settlement amount that accurately reflects the insured's losses. Setting arbitrary deadlines Basing settlements on competitor practices or excluding insured input can undermine fairness and compliance with regulatory standards. Prioritizing policy terms and fairness in settlement negotiations promotes trust and transparency in the claims handling process. Question 51. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters uphold when handling claims involving catastrophic losses in South Carolina? A. Minimizing communication with insureds to avoid emotional distress. B. Prioritizing quick claim closure over thorough investigation. C. Providing compassionate and timely assistance to insureds. D. Delaying claims processing to assess all details thoroughly. Answer: C. Providing compassionate and timely assistance to insureds. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should uphold ethical considerations by providing compassionate and timely assistance to insureds, especially in claims involving catastrophic losses. This involves demonstrating empathy, understanding the emotional impact of the loss, and offering support throughout the claims process. Prioritizing quick claim closure without thorough investigation or delaying claims processing can adversely affect insured's recovery and satisfaction. Effective communication, transparency, and proactive assistance help maintain trust, comply with ethical standards, and uphold insurers' commitment to policyholders during challenging times. Question 52. Surplus lines insurance claims process. What is the role of effective communication and documentation in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina? A. They are optional and depend on the adjuster's discretion. B. They ensure that all claims are settled quickly without delays. C. They help maintain transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. D. They are only relevant during the initial claim submission. Answer: C. They help maintain transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Explanation: effective communication and documentation play a crucial role in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina by helping maintain transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Clear communication ensures that all parties involved are informed about the progress and decisions regarding the claim. Documentation supports the claims process by recording key details, evidence, and communications, which can be crucial in resolving disputes and demonstrating regulatory compliance. Ignoring communication or documentation practices can lead to misunderstandings, delays, and potential legal issues. Therefore, prioritizing effective communication and documentation enhances the efficiency and integrity of surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 53. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical principle guides surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina when handling claims involving conflicting interpretations of policy language? A. Ignoring policy language to expedite the claims process. B. Resolving conflicts in favor of the insurer's interests. C. Interpreting policy language objectively and in favor of the insured. D. Consulting legal counsel to avoid making decisions. Answer: C. Interpreting policy language objectively and in favor of the insured. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should adhere to the ethical principle of interpreting policy language objectively and in favor of the insured when handling claims involving conflicting interpretations. This principle ensures fair treatment of policyholders in compliance with legal standards. Ignoring policy language, resolving conflicts solely in the insurer's favor, or avoiding decisions by consulting legal counsel can undermine trust and lead to disputes. By interpreting policy language objectively, adjusters uphold ethical standards, promote transparency, and facilitate fair claims resolution in accordance with South Carolina's regulatory framework. Question 54. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. When evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina, why is it important to consider loss adjustment techniques? A. They expedite claim processing without thorough evaluation. B. They ensure that all claimants receive equal compensation. C. They help assess the accuracy and fairness of claim settlements. D. They are only applicable to minor claims. Answer: C. They help assess the accuracy and fairness of claim settlements. Explanation: loss adjustment techniques are important when evaluating the extent and value of a surplus lines insurance claim in South Carolina because they help assess the accuracy and fairness of claim settlements. These techniques involve methods such as comparing similar claims, reviewing historical data, and considering expert opinions to ensure that claim assessments are consistent and based on objective criteria. By utilizing loss adjustment techniques, adjusters can make informed decisions that align with policy terms, regulatory requirements, and fair claims practices. Ignoring these techniques or limiting their application can lead to inaccurate assessments and potential disputes, emphasizing the importance of their systematic use in claims evaluation. Question 55. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What is the significance of releasing and documenting settlement agreements in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina? A. It is optional and depends on the insurer's preference. B. It ensures that settlements are legally binding and enforceable. C. It delays the settlement process unnecessarily. D. It is required only for claims involving litigation. Answer. B. It ensures that settlements are legally binding and enforceable. Explanation. Releasing and documenting settlement agreements in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina is significant because it ensures that settlements are legally binding and enforceable. Proper documentation includes outlining the terms agreed upon by both parties, which helps prevent misunderstandings and disputes in the future. This documentation is essential for compliance with regulatory requirements and for maintaining transparency in claims handling. Failing to release and document settlement agreements could jeopardize the validity of the settlement and expose insurers to legal risks. Therefore, ensuring thorough documentation is crucial to the integrity of the claims settlement process. Question 56. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. How can surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina effectively manage litigation expenses? A. By excluding legal counsel from the litigation process. B. By minimizing the disclosure of evidence during litigation. C. By negotiating settlements before litigation becomes necessary. D. By delaying litigation to assess additional evidence. Answer. C. By negotiating settlements before litigation becomes necessary. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina can effectively manage litigation expenses by negotiating settlements before litigation becomes necessary. Early settlement negotiations can help avoid costly legal proceedings, reduce litigation expenses, and expedite claim resolution. It also allows insurers to maintain control over the outcome and avoid prolonged disputes. Excluding legal counsel, minimizing evidence disclosure, or delaying litigation without valid reasons can increase costs and prolong the claims process. Therefore, proactive settlement negotiations are a strategic approach to managing litigation expenses in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 57. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving confidential information in South Carolina? A. Sharing confidential information with unauthorized parties to expedite claim processing. B. Respecting confidentiality and privacy requirements unless legally required or authorized. C. Ignoring confidentiality concerns to prioritize claim resolution. D. Including confidential information in public reports for transparency. Answer. B. Respecting confidentiality and privacy requirements unless legally required or authorized. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize respecting confidentiality and privacy requirements when handling claims involving confidential information. This ethical consideration ensures that sensitive information about policyholders, claims, and investigations is protected from unauthorized disclosure. Adhering to confidentiality guidelines helps maintain trust, uphold privacy rights, and comply with legal and regulatory standards. Sharing confidential information without authorization, ignoring confidentiality concerns, or disclosing sensitive details in public reports can violate ethical principles and expose insurers to legal liabilities. Therefore, respecting confidentiality is essential for ethical claims handling practices and maintaining professionalism in the insurance industry. Question 58. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. What are the key responsibilities of surplus lines insurance claims adjusters during the investigation phase in South Carolina? A. Minimizing communication with insureds to avoid complications. B. Gathering and evaluating evidence objectively and thoroughly. C. Making claim decisions without reviewing policy terms. D. Avoiding documentation of investigation findings. Answer: B. Gathering and evaluating evidence objectively and thoroughly. Explanation: in South Carolina, surplus lines insurance claims adjusters have key responsibilities during the investigation phase, which include gathering and evaluating evidence objectively and thoroughly. This ensures that the claim assessment is based on factual information and complies with regulatory requirements, minimizing communication with insureds. Making decisions without reviewing policy terms or avoiding documentation can lead to incomplete investigations and unfair claim outcomes. Objective evidence evaluation supports transparency, accuracy, and fairness in claims handling, enhancing trust and compliance with ethical and legal standards. Question 59. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving policyholder conflicts of interest in South Carolina? A. Resolving conflicts of interest in favor of the insurer's interests. B. Ignoring conflicts of interest to expedite claim resolution. C. Handling conflicts of interest impartially and transparently. D. Excluding policyholders involved in conflicts of interest from claims process. Answer: C. Handling conflicts of interest impartially and transparently. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize handling conflicts of interest impartially and transparently when handling claims involving policyholders. This ethical consideration ensures fair treatment and compliance with legal and regulatory standards. Resolving conflicts of interest in favor of the insurer's interests. Ignoring conflicts or excluding policyholders without valid reasons can undermine trust and lead to disputes. By addressing conflicts of interest impartially, adjusters uphold ethical principles, maintain professionalism, and protect the interests of all parties involved in the claims process. Question 60. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What factors should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters consider when negotiating settlements in South Carolina? A. Offering settlements based on arbitrary amounts. B. Ensuring that settlements are fair and reasonable based on policy terms and claim circumstances. C. Refusing to negotiate settlements to discourage claim submissions. D. Setting deadlines for insureds to accept settlements without negotiation. Answer: B. Ensuring that settlements are fair and reasonable based on policy terms and claim circumstances. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should consider ensuring that settlements are fair and reasonable based on policy terms and claim circumstances when negotiating settlements. This involves evaluating the coverage provided by the policy, assessing liability, and offering settlements that accurately reflect the insured's losses. Offering arbitrary settlements, refusing to negotiate, or setting unreasonable deadlines can lead to dissatisfaction and potential disputes. Prioritizing fairness and policy compliance in settlement negotiations promotes trust, facilitates efficient claims resolution, and enhances insurers' reputation. Therefore, considering policy terms and claim circumstances is crucial for effective settlement negotiations in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 61. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. What are the key differences between surplus lines insurance policies and standard admitted insurance policies in South Carolina? A. Surplus lines policies are more expensive without providing additional coverage. B. Surplus lines policies are only available to high-risk insureds. C. Surplus lines policies are not regulated by the state insurance department. D. Surplus lines policies offer coverage for risks that standard insurers are unwilling to cover. Answer: D. Surplus lines policies offer coverage for risks that standard insurers are unwilling to cover. Explanation: in South Carolina, surplus lines insurance policies differ from standard admitted insurance policies primarily because surplus lines policies offer coverage for risks that standard insurers are unwilling to cover. These risks are typically deemed too risky or unconventional for standard insurers to underwrite. Surplus lines policies provide a market for such risks by allowing non-admitted insurers to offer coverage, albeit subject to different regulatory oversight compared to admitted insurers. This differentiation helps ensure that specialized or hard-to-place risks can still obtain insurance coverage, albeit at potentially higher costs and with specific regulatory requirements to protect policyholders. Question 62. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. Why is it important for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina to utilize loss adjustment techniques when evaluating claims? A. Loss adjustment techniques speed up the claims handling process. B. They ensure fair and equitable claim settlements based on objective assessments. C. Loss adjustment techniques are optional and not necessary for accurate claim evaluation. D. They focus primarily on reducing claim payments to minimize insurer losses. Answer. B. They ensure fair and equitable claim settlements based on objective assessments. Explanation. Utilizing loss adjustment techniques is important for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina because they ensure fair and equitable claim settlements based on objective assessments. These techniques involve methods such as gathering evidence, assessing damages, and applying industry standards to evaluate claims accurately. By employing such techniques, adjusters can make informed decisions that align with policy terms, regulatory requirements, and fair claims practices, speeding up the process. Focusing solely on reducing payments or considering techniques optional can compromise the accuracy and fairness of claim evaluations. Therefore, utilizing loss adjustment techniques is critical for maintaining integrity and peace. Question 63. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What are the advantages of resolving surplus lines insurance claims through alternative dispute resolution methods in South Carolina? A. DR methods ensure that all claims are settled without any negotiation. B. DR methods allow for faster resolution and reduced litigation costs. C. DR methods only benefit insurers and not policyholders. D. DR methods are only applicable for minor claims. Answer. B. DR methods allow for faster resolution and reduced litigation costs. Explanation. Resolving surplus lines insurance claims through alternative dispute resolution methods in South Carolina offers advantages such as faster resolution and reduced litigation costs. DR methods like mediation or arbitration provide a less formal and adversarial approach compared to traditional litigation. They allow parties to negotiate settlements, often with the assistance of a neutral third party, which can lead to quicker resolutions and lower legal expenses. This approach benefits both insurers and policyholders by avoiding prolonged disputes and maintaining productive relationships. DR methods are not limited to minor claims and can be effective for resolving complex disputes efficiently. Therefore, utilizing DR methods in surplus lines insurance claims handling supports cost-effectiveness, timeliness, and mutual agreement between parties involved. Question 64. Surplus lines insurance claims process. What are the regulatory requirements in South Carolina concerning the claims handling process for surplus lines insurance? A. There are no specific regulations for surplus lines claims handling. B. Surplus lines claims must adhere to the same regulations as admitted insurance. C. Surplus lines claims handling is regulated by the South Carolina Department of Insurance. D. Regulations for surplus lines claims handling vary depending on the insurer's preference. Answer. C. Surplus lines claims handling is regulated by the South Carolina Department of Insurance. Explanation. In South Carolina, surplus lines claims handling is regulated by the South Carolina Department of Insurance. Although surplus lines insurers are non-admitted and operate under different regulations compared to admitted insurers, they are still subject to state regulations to ensure fair treatment of policyholders, compliance with insurance laws, and protection of consumer interests. The Department of Insurance oversees aspects such as claims practices, solvency requirements, and consumer protections to maintain market stability and confidence in surplus lines insurance. Understanding and adhering to these regulatory requirements are essential for surplus lines claims adjusters to conduct claims handling processes ethically and in accordance with legal standards. Question 65. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving high-value losses in South Carolina? A. Expediting the claims process to minimize insurers' losses. B. Providing fair and equitable treatment to policyholders. C. Denying claims without thorough investigation. D. Delaying communication with policyholders. Answer. B. Providing fair and equitable treatment to policyholders. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize providing fair and equitable treatment to policyholders when handling claims involving high-value losses. This ethical consideration ensures that policyholders receive prompt and thorough assessment of their claims, regardless of the amount involved. Fair treatment includes conducting comprehensive investigations, communicating openly and transparently with policyholders, and adhering to policy terms and regulatory requirements, expediting the claims process. Denying claims without thorough investigation or delaying communication can compromise fairness and integrity. Upholding ethical standards promotes trust, maintains insurers' reputation, and supports compliance with legal obligations in surplus lines claims handling. Question 66. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. Why is it important for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina to negotiate and document settlement agreements promptly? A. To prevent policyholders from seeking legal action. B. To ensure compliance with insurers' internal policies. C. To establish clear terms and avoid disputes. D. To delay claim payments and reduce insurers' liabilities. Answer: C. To establish clear terms and avoid disputes. Explanation: it is important for surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina to negotiate and document settlement agreements promptly to establish clear terms and avoid disputes. Prompt negotiation and documentation help ensure that both parties agree on the terms of settlement, reducing the likelihood of misunderstandings or disagreements later on. Clear documentation outlines the agreed-upon terms, including payment amounts, coverage details, and any conditions, making it easier to enforce the settlement if needed. Delaying settlement agreements or failing to document them properly can prolong the claims process, strain relationships with policyholders, and increase the risk of legal challenges. Therefore, negotiating and documenting settlements promptly is crucial for effective surplus lines claims handling and maintaining positive insurer-policyholder interactions. Question 67. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. What role do interviews play in surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina? A. Interviews are unnecessary and should be avoided to streamline the process. B. Interviews help gather first-hand information from insureds, witnesses, and other involved parties. C. Interviews are conducted only if mandated by the insurer's policy. D. Interviews are limited to written correspondence with insureds. Answer: B. Interviews help gather first-hand information from insureds, witnesses, and other involved parties. Explanation: in surplus lines insurance claims investigation in South Carolina, interviews play a crucial role by helping gather first-hand information from insureds, witnesses, and other involved parties. These interviews provide valuable insights and details that may not be available through other means, such as documents or records. They allow adjusters to clarify facts, understand perspectives, and assess the credibility of statements related to the claim. Avoiding interviews or limiting them to written correspondence can hinder the investigation process and lead to incomplete assessments. Therefore, conducting interviews as part of the investigation helps ensure thorough and objective claims handling in compliance with regulatory standards. Question 68. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving complex coverage disputes in South Carolina? A. Denying claims without conducting a thorough investigation. B. Resolving coverage disputes in favor of the insurer to minimize financial impact. C. Interpreting policy terms objectively and providing clear explanations to policyholders. D. Avoiding communication with policyholders to prevent conflicts. Answer: C. Interpreting policy terms objectively and providing clear explanations to policyholders. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize interpreting policy terms objectively and providing clear explanations to policyholders when handling claims involving complex coverage disputes. This ethical consideration ensures transparency, fairness, and compliance with legal standards. Adjusters should conduct thorough investigations, review policy provisions carefully, and communicate effectively with policyholders to explain coverage decisions and resolve disputes amicably. Denying claims without investigation, resolving disputes solely in favor of the insurer, or avoiding communication can undermine trust and lead to legal challenges. Upholding ethical standards promotes professionalism, strengthens insurer-policyholder relationships, and supports fair claims outcomes in surplus lines insurance. Question 69. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What factors should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters consider when determining the appropriate settlement amount in South Carolina? A. Offering the lowest settlement amount to minimize insurers' costs. B. Ensuring that the settlement amount reflects the insured's actual losses and policy coverage. C. Setting arbitrary deadlines for insureds to accept settlement offers. D. Excluding insured's input in the settlement negotiation process. Answer: B. Ensuring that the settlement amount reflects the insured's actual losses and policy coverage. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should consider ensuring that the settlement amount reflects the insured's actual losses and policy coverage when determining the appropriate settlement amount. This involves evaluating the extent of damages, reviewing policy provisions, and considering all relevant factors to offer a fair and reasonable settlement. Offering the lowest amount to minimize costs, setting arbitrary deadlines, or excluding insured input can compromise the fairness and credibility of the settlement process. By prioritizing accuracy and fairness, adjusters uphold ethical standards, comply with regulatory requirements, and maintain positive relationships with policyholders. Therefore, considering insured's actual losses and policy coverage is essential for effective and ethical surplus lines claims settlement in South Carolina. Question 70. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. What challenges do surplus lines insurance claims adjusters face when evaluating claims for unique or non-standard risks in South Carolina? A. They must adhere strictly to standard claim evaluation procedures. B. They may encounter limited data or historical information for similar claims. C. They can exclude certain types of claims from evaluation. D. They must expedite the evaluation process for non-standard risks. Answer: B. They may encounter limited data or historical information for similar claims. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina may face challenges when evaluating claims for unique or non-standard risks due to limited data or historical information for similar claims. Non-standard risks often involve unconventional or specialized coverage needs, making it difficult to apply standard claim evaluation procedures effectively. Adjusters may need to rely on alternative sources of information, collaborate with specialists, or adapt evaluation methods to ensure accurate assessments. Excluding certain types of claims or expediting evaluations without sufficient data can lead to inaccurate decisions and potential disputes. Therefore, addressing challenges related to limited information is crucial for enhancing accuracy and fairness in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 71. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What are the advantages of maintaining thorough documentation throughout the claims handling process in South Carolina? A. It is unnecessary and increases administrative burden. B. Thorough documentation supports transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. C. Documentation is limited to initial claim submissions. D. It only benefits insurers and not policyholders. Answer: B. Thorough documentation supports transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Explanation: maintaining thorough documentation throughout the claims handling process in South Carolina offers advantages such as supporting transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements. Documentation includes recording all communications, decisions, and actions taken during the claims process, which helps establish a clear and consistent record of events. This documentation is crucial for demonstrating compliance with legal and regulatory standards, protecting policyholders' rights, and facilitating effective claims management. Neglecting documentation or limiting it to initial submissions can hinder transparency and accountability, potentially leading to misunderstandings or disputes. Therefore, prioritizing thorough documentation promotes professionalism, enhances claims handling efficiency, and strengthens insurer-policyholder relationships in surplus lines insurance. Question 72. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What role do state regulations play in governing surplus lines insurance claims settlement practices in South Carolina? A. State regulations do not apply to surplus lines claims settlement. B. State regulations ensure that settlement practices are fair and compliant with legal standards. C. State regulations only apply to admitted insurance claims settlement. D. State regulations discourage insurers from settling claims. Answer: B. State regulations ensure that settlement practices are fair and compliant with legal standards. Explanation: in South Carolina, state regulations play a crucial role in governing surplus lines insurance claims settlement practices by ensuring that these practices are fair and compliant with legal standards. Although surplus lines insurers operate under different regulations compared to admitted insurers, they are still subject to state oversight to protect policyholders and ensure market stability. State regulations dictate requirements such as fair claims practices, transparency in settlement negotiations, and adherence to policy terms. Ignoring state regulations or assuming they do not apply can lead to regulatory penalties and legal liabilities. Therefore, understanding and complying with state regulations are essential for maintaining ethical standards, achieving fair outcomes, and upholding professionalism in surplus lines insurance claims settlement. Question 73. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving multiple insureds in South Carolina? A. Prioritizing one insured's interests over others to expedite the claims process. B. Resolving conflicts between insureds without impartiality. C. Handling each insured's claim fairly and impartially. D. Excluding certain insureds from the claims process. Answer: C. Handling each insured's claim fairly and impartially. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize handling each insured's claim fairly and impartially when dealing with claims involving multiple insureds. Ethical considerations require adjusters to assess each claim based on its merits, policy terms, and relevant facts without favoring one insured over another. Resolving conflicts between insureds impartially and communicating openly with all parties involved fosters trust and fairness in the claims process. Prioritizing one insured's interests, excluding insureds, or resolving conflicts without impartiality can lead to disputes and ethical violations. Therefore, maintaining impartiality and fairness is crucial for ethical surplus lines insurance claims handling in scenarios involving multiple insureds. Question 74. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. What are the typical exclusions found in surplus lines insurance policies in South Carolina? A. Exclusions related to weather events only. B. Exclusions that limit coverage for specific risks or conditions. C. Surplus lines policies do not have exclusions. D. Exclusions related to standard admitted insurance policies. Answer: B. Exclusions that limit coverage for specific risks or conditions. Explanation: surplus lines insurance policies in South Carolina typically include exclusions that limit coverage for specific risks or conditions. These exclusions are designed to define the scope of coverage and manage insurers' exposure to certain types of risks that are considered too high or unconventional for standard insurers to cover. Common exclusions may relate to intentional acts, wear and tear, certain types of natural disasters, or specific hazards depending on the insured risk. Understanding these exclusions is crucial for both insureds and insurers to manage expectations and ensure compliance with policy terms. Surplus lines policies differ from standard admitted insurance policies in their flexibility and ability to provide coverage for unique risks, often with tailored exclusions to manage insurers' risk exposure effectively. Question 75. Surplus lines insurance claims process. What are the key roles of third-party experts in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina? A. They are unnecessary and add unnecessary costs. B. They provide unbiased assessments and expertise in specialized areas. C. They only assist insurers in minimizing claim payments. D. They are involved only in litigation matters. Answer: B. They provide unbiased assessments and expertise in specialized areas. Explanation: third-party experts play key roles in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina by providing unbiased assessments and expertise in specialized areas. These experts, such as engineers, appraisers, or forensic accountants, help adjusters evaluate claims objectively and accurately, particularly for complex or technical aspects that require specialized knowledge. Their involvement ensures that claims assessments are thorough, fair, and based on expert analysis, which enhances the credibility and transparency of claims handling processes. Considering third-party expertise can facilitate timely and informed claim decisions, leading to fair resolutions and efficient claims management. Ignoring their roles or assuming they add unnecessary costs overlooks their value in achieving accurate claims outcomes and supporting insurer-policyholder relationships in surplus lines insurance. Question 76. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters keep in mind when negotiating settlements involving third-party claimants in South Carolina? A. Prioritizing quick settlement to avoid litigation. B. Ensuring that settlement terms align with policy coverage and legal liabilities. C. Excluding third-party claimants from the negotiation process. D. Setting arbitrary limits on settlement amounts. Answer: B. Ensuring that settlement terms align with policy coverage and legal liabilities. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize ensuring that settlement terms align with policy coverage and legal liabilities when negotiating settlements involving third-party claimants. This consideration involves evaluating policy provisions, assessing liability, and negotiating fair and reasonable settlements that meet legal standards and insurers' obligations. Prioritizing quick settlements without considering policy terms or legal liabilities can lead to inadequate resolutions and potential legal disputes. Excluding third-party claimants or setting arbitrary limits on settlements can also hinder fair negotiations. Therefore, aligning settlement terms with policy coverage and legal liabilities is essential for ethical and effective surplus lines insurance claims handling involving third-party claimants. Question 77. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical guidelines should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters follow when handling claims with potential conflicts of interest in South Carolina? A. Resolving conflicts in favor of the insurer's interests. B. Disclosing conflicts and handling claims impartially. C. Ignoring conflicts to expedite claim resolution. D. Avoiding disclosure of conflicts to policyholders. Answer: B. Disclosing conflicts and handling claims impartially. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should follow ethical guidelines by disclosing conflicts of interest and handling claims impartially when conflicts arise. Ethical considerations require adjusters to identify potential conflicts, disclose them transparently to affected parties, and ensure that claims are handled fairly and objectively. Resolving conflicts in favor of the insurer. Ignoring conflicts or failing to disclose them can undermine trust and lead to ethical violations. By disclosing conflicts and maintaining impartiality, adjusters uphold ethical standards, promote fairness in claims handling, and protect the interests of all parties involved. Therefore, transparency and impartiality are essential for ethical surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina. Question 78. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. How can surplus lines insurance claims adjusters ensure effective communication with insureds during the claims investigation process in South Carolina? A. Limiting communication to written correspondence only. B. Communicating openly, clearly, and promptly with insureds. C. Avoiding communication to streamline the investigation. D. Leaving communication solely to legal counsel. Answer: B. Communicating openly, clearly, and promptly with insureds. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should ensure effective communication with insureds during the claims investigation process by communicating openly, clearly, and promptly. Effective communication involves explaining the claims process, discussing expectations, requesting necessary information, and providing updates on claim status. Limiting communication to written correspondence only or avoiding it altogether can lead to misunderstandings, delays, and dissatisfaction. By maintaining open communication, adjusters build trust, clarify concerns, and facilitate smoother claims resolution. Involving legal counsel is important for complex legal matters, but direct communication with insureds remains crucial for transparency and maintaining positive insurer-policyholder relationships. Therefore, effective communication enhances efficiency and satisfaction in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina. Question 79. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. What are the key differences in evaluating surplus lines insurance claims versus standard admitted insurance claims in South Carolina? A. Surplus lines claims involve more complex legal procedures. B. Surplus lines claims may require specialized expertise and resources. C. Standard admitted insurance claims are always resolved faster. D. Surplus lines claims are exempt from regulatory oversight. Answer: B. Surplus lines claims may require specialized expertise and resources. Explanation: In South Carolina, evaluating surplus lines insurance claims differs from evaluating standard admitted insurance claims primarily because surplus lines claims may require specialized expertise and resources. Surplus lines insurers often handle unique or high-risk exposures that standard insurers avoid, necessitating specialized knowledge and investigative techniques. Adjusters may need to collaborate with experts such as engineers, appraisers, or legal professionals to assess complex claims accurately. This contrasts with standard admitted insurance claims, which typically involve more straightforward coverage and familiar risks. Understanding these differences helps adjusters tailor their approaches to meet the unique challenges and regulatory requirements of surplus lines claims handling in South Carolina. Question 80. Surplus lines insurance claims process. What role does reserving play in surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina? A. Reserving is optional and not required for surplus lines claims. B. Reserving ensures that sufficient funds are set aside to cover anticipated claim costs. C. Reserving is mandated only for high-value claims. D. Reserving is solely the responsibility of insureds. Answer. B. Reserving ensures that sufficient funds are set aside to cover anticipated claim costs. Explanation. In surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina, reserving plays a crucial role by ensuring that sufficient funds are set aside to cover anticipated claim costs. Reserving involves estimating the financial impact of claims based on initial assessments, policy terms, and potential liabilities. This practice helps insurers manage financial stability, comply with regulatory requirements, and fulfill their obligations to policyholders. Reserving is essential regardless of claim value and ensures that insurers can meet their financial responsibilities promptly and effectively. Neglecting to reserve or viewing it as optional can lead to financial instability and regulatory penalties. Therefore, reserving is a fundamental practice in surplus lines insurance claims handling to support prudent financial management and claims settlement. Question 81. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What steps should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters take to prepare for litigation involving complex claims in South Carolina? A. Avoiding legal counsel involvement until litigation is inevitable. B. Documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. C. Ignoring pre-litigation negotiations to avoid conflicts. D. Minimizing communication with legal counsel. Answer. B. Documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should take steps to prepare for litigation involving complex claims by documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. Comprehensive documentation includes recording communications, decisions, evidence gathered, and any other relevant information related to the claim. This documentation serves as critical evidence in litigation, supporting insurers' position and demonstrating compliance with legal requirements. Avoiding legal counsel involvement or minimizing communication can hinder preparations and strategic planning for litigation. Therefore, thorough documentation helps adjusters anticipate legal challenges, protect insurers' interests, and facilitate informed decision-making throughout the litigation process in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 82. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters keep in mind when negotiating settlements for catastrophic losses in South Carolina? A. Prioritizing minimizing insurers' financial exposure over fair compensation. B. Ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements during negotiations. C. Excluding policyholders from settlement discussions. D. Offering settlements based solely on initial damage assessments. Answer. B. Ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements during negotiations. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements during negotiations for settlements involving catastrophic losses. Regulatory compliance includes adhering to fair claims practices, disclosing all relevant information to policyholders, and offering fair compensation based on comprehensive assessments. Prioritizing minimizing insurers' financial exposure or excluding policyholders from negotiations can undermine trust and lead to legal challenges. By focusing on regulatory compliance, adjusters demonstrate professionalism, protect insurers' reputation, and support fair outcomes for policyholders in surplus lines insurance claims settlements. Question 83. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. How do surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina determine coverage and liability for claims involving ambiguous policy language? A. Ignoring ambiguous policy language to expedite claims processing. B. Seeking legal interpretation from an independent party. C. Interpreting policy language objectively and in favor of policyholders. D. Denying coverage without further investigation. Answer: B. Seeking legal interpretation from an independent party. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina determine coverage and liability for claims involving ambiguous policy language by seeking legal interpretation from an independent party. Ambiguous policy language requires careful analysis to ensure fair and accurate claims decisions. Legal interpretation helps clarify policy terms, align claims handling with regulatory standards, and uphold insurers' contractual obligations to policyholders. Ignoring ambiguous language, denying coverage without investigation, or interpreting language solely in favor of insurers can lead to disputes and regulatory scrutiny. Therefore, seeking legal guidance ensures consistent and compliant surplus lines insurance claims handling, benefiting both insurers and policyholders. Question 84. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving uninsured risks in South Carolina? A. Denying claims automatically for uninsured risks. B. Informing policyholders promptly about uninsured risks. C. Delaying claims processing for uninsured risks. D. Resolving claims without informing policyholders about uninsured risks. Answer: B. Informing policyholders promptly about uninsured risks. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize informing policyholders promptly about uninsured risks when handling claims involving such risks. Ethical considerations require transparency and honesty in communicating coverage limitations and exclusions to policyholders. Promptly informing policyholders about uninsured risks allows them to understand their coverage, manage expectations, and make informed decisions. Denying claims automatically, delaying processing, or resolving claims without disclosure can undermine trust and lead to legal repercussions. By prioritizing clear communication, adjusters uphold ethical standards, support policyholder education, and foster positive insurer-policyholder relationships in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Therefore, informing policyholders about uninsured risks is essential for ethical surplus lines insurance claims practices in South Carolina. Question 85. Surplus lines insurance claims evaluation. What challenges do surplus lines insurance claims adjusters face when evaluating claims for emerging risks in South Carolina? A. Relying solely on historical data for risk assessment. B. Collaborating with industry experts to assess emerging risks. C. Ignoring emerging risks to expedite claims processing. D. Excluding emerging risks from coverage. Answer: B. Collaborating with industry experts to assess emerging risks. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina face challenges when evaluating claims for emerging risks by collaborating with industry experts to assess these new and evolving risks. Emerging risks often lack sufficient historical data, making it difficult to rely solely on past information for accurate assessments. Adjusters must engage industry experts who possess specialized knowledge and insights into emerging risks to ensure comprehensive evaluation and decision-making. Ignoring emerging risks or excluding them from coverage can lead to gaps in protection and potential liabilities. Therefore, collaboration with experts enables adjusters to stay informed, mitigate risks effectively, and provide robust coverage solutions in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 86. Surplus lines insurance policy analysis. How do surplus lines insurance claims adjusters interpret policy language regarding coverage limitations in South Carolina? A. Interpreting language ambiguously to favor insurers. B. Seeking legal guidance to clarify policy terms. C. Ignoring coverage limitations for expedited claims processing. D. Denying coverage based on vague policy terms. Answer: B. Seeking legal guidance to clarify policy terms. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina interpret policy language regarding coverage limitations by seeking legal guidance to clarify policy terms. Policy language can sometimes be ambiguous or open to interpretation, requiring legal expertise to ensure accurate understanding and application. Legal guidance helps adjusters navigate complex policy provisions, uphold insurers' obligations, and protect policyholders' rights. Interpreting language ambiguously, ignoring coverage limitations, or denying coverage based on vague terms can lead to disputes and regulatory scrutiny. Therefore, seeking legal clarity supports consistent and compliant surplus lines insurance claims handling, promoting fairness and transparency in claims decisions. Question 87. Surplus lines insurance claims settlement. What role does negotiation strategy play in surplus lines insurance claims settlement in South Carolina? A. Excluding policyholders from settlement negotiations. B. Prioritizing quick settlements to minimize insurers' costs. C. Tailoring negotiations to reflect policy coverage and insured's interests. D. Offering settlements below policy limits without negotiation. Answer. C. Tailoring negotiations to reflect policy coverage and insured's interests. Explanation. In South Carolina, negotiation strategy plays a critical role in surplus lines insurance claims settlement by tailoring negotiations to reflect policy coverage and insured's interests. Adjusters should consider policy terms, coverage limits, and insured's expectations when negotiating settlements to ensure fair and equitable outcomes. Prioritizing quick settlements or excluding policyholders from negotiations can lead to dissatisfaction and legal challenges. Effective negotiation involves understanding insurers' liabilities, communicating clearly with policyholders, and striving for mutually acceptable resolutions. Therefore, tailoring negotiations to reflect policy coverage and insured's interest supports ethical surplus lines insurance claims handling, fostering trust and cooperation between insurers and policyholders. Question 88. Surplus lines insurance claims litigation. What steps should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters take to effectively manage litigation in South Carolina? A. Avoiding collaboration with legal counsel until litigation is inevitable. B. Documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. C. Ignoring pre-litigation negotiations to streamline the process. D. Minimizing communication with insureds during litigation. Answer. B. Documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should take steps to effectively manage litigation by documenting all claim activities and maintaining thorough records. Comprehensive documentation is crucial in litigation to support insurers' position, demonstrate compliance with legal obligations, and defend against claims challenges. Avoiding collaboration with legal counsel, ignoring negotiations, or minimizing communication with insureds can hinder effective litigation management and strategic planning. Therefore, thorough documentation facilitates informed decision-making, enhances transparency, and strengthens insurers' defense in surplus lines insurance claims litigation. Question 89. Surplus lines insurance claims ethics and professionalism. What ethical considerations should surplus lines insurance claims adjusters prioritize when handling claims involving insureds in financial distress in South Carolina? A. Expediting claims processing to alleviate insured's financial burden. B. Excluding insureds in financial distress from claim settlements. C. Treating insureds with empathy and fairness. D. Withholding information for insureds in financial distress. Answer. C. Treating insureds with empathy and fairness. Explanation. Surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina should prioritize treating insureds with empathy and fairness when handling claims involving insureds in financial distress. Ethical considerations require adjusters to understand the challenges faced by insureds, communicate openly about claim status and options, and strive for equitable resolutions. Expediting claims processing without considering insured circumstances or withholding information can exacerbate financial distress and lead to ethical violations. By demonstrating empathy and fairness, adjusters uphold professional standards, maintain policyholder trust, and promote positive insurer-policyholder relationships in surplus lines insurance claims handling. Question 90. Surplus lines insurance claims investigation. How can surplus lines insurance claims adjusters ensure accuracy and fairness in gathering evidence for claims investigation in South Carolina? A. Relying solely on insured statements without independent verification. B. Utilizing outside experts and specialists as needed. C. Excluding witnesses from the investigation process. D. Minimizing documentation to streamline the investigation. Answer: B. Utilizing outside experts and specialists as needed. Explanation: surplus lines insurance claims adjusters in South Carolina can ensure accuracy and fairness in gathering evidence for claims investigation by utilizing outside experts and specialists as needed. Claims investigation often requires expertise in various fields such as engineering, forensic accounting, or legal analysis to assess complex issues objectively. Relying solely on insured statements, excluding witnesses, or minimizing documentation can compromise investigation integrity and fairness. By collaborating with external experts, adjusters enhance their ability to gather credible evidence, make informed decisions, and uphold insurers' obligations to policyholders. Therefore, utilizing outside specialists supports thorough and equitable surplus lines insurance claims handling in South Carolina.